Hey everybody, so right now I'm excited to announce yet another TFLoffroad long-term tester, and you can see it right here. Now this Polaris Ranger XP1000 looks a lot like the XP1000 we had last summer here on the channel, but this one has some tricks up its sleeve. So in this video I'm going to introduce this machine, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do with it in the coming months, and of course I want your suggestions, so let's dive into it. So what you are looking at right here is the Polaris Ranger XP1000 Backcountry Edition. And actually there are no Backcountry Edition stickers or anything here. It just comes in the Polaris Pursuit camo. And you'd never know it was a special edition. Well, at least until you walk around the back and you see those guys right there. So that's one of the biggest upgrades on the Backcountry Edition. That is a snorkel for the engine and for the CVT to make sure everything can breathe, even in the deepest water. And the Backcountry Edition is all about getting in deep water and getting out into the backcountry. Here's another one of the upgrades. That is a winch right from the factory, 4,500 pounds, and it uses Polaris's new synthetic rope, so there's no more steel cable. Oh, and while we're talking about the winch, I should mention the winch came with this. That is a wireless controller, which is just brilliant. You know, it really makes a lot of sense so that you don't have to crawl through the mud, hook up a controller, and then, you know, winch out of there. This thing, you keep it in your pocket, and then anytime you need to use that winch, you're ready to go wirelessly. And like I just said, I cannot wait to put that winch to use. And then another one of the big upgrades you can see right here in the front, arched A-arms. And those arched A-arms just help to get everything up out of the mud, and the less stuff you're dragging in the mud, the better. Now Polaris lists the ground clearance here on the Backcountry Edition at a full 13 inches. So those are some of the changes, but when we're talking about the powertrain here, it stays exactly the same. So the engine is still a 999cc 4-stroke dual overhead cam twin cylinder making 82 horsepower, and you can see the engine right back here. Now having those snorkels does not affect the dump box, so you still grab your handle down here and the bed will dump for you and also give you access to the engine. So like I said, this is the same engine in the regular XP1000, offering 82 horsepower, but here in the Backcountry Edition we also get lower gearing, so this engine should feel a little bit beefier low down than the standard XP1000 does, and it should also have just a slightly lower top speed because the gearing is a little bit lower. Now let me riddle off a couple more numbers for you guys. So the estimated dry weight of this machine is 1,597 pounds. The box back here is rated to handle 1,000 pounds of payload, and I definitely want to put that to the test. The fuel tank on this Ranger equals a total of 11.5 gallons or 43.5 liters. Ground clearance, as I mentioned, is 13 inches. Now overall vehicle size, the length here we're talking 120 inches, the width we're at 62.5 inches, and then the height you're at 77 inches. If you're talking about overall payload capacity, Polaris puts it at 1,500 pounds. So basically if you get 1,000 in the bed, you can still put 500 pounds of people up here in the cab. The wheelbase here, we have a total of 81 inches from the rear up there to the front. 4-wheel hydraulic disc brakes all around. And then those actual tires are 27-inch Maxxis units, which are not unique to this machine. They do come on the regular XP1000 as well. Now I mentioned those arched A-arms. Well, this thing also gets 11 inches of suspension travel, which is a fair amount for a utility machine. Now when you're looking at towing here on this XP1000, it does come with a proper 2-inch hitch receiver, and Polaris rates it at 2,500 pounds for towing. Now let me show you the interior a little bit and the 4-inch LCD rider display. So this unit, as standard, comes with these nets. You open them up there, and then you pop the little metal foot out of there, and we can hop in and take a look at this screen. You know what? We'll start her up. Not a bad looking LCD screen, controlled by these buttons right up here. So you can cycle through trip 1, trip 2, volts, engine hours, and as you can see, it only has 0.7 hours. This unit is brand new, never been used before. It is true that this machine is brand new, so before we go any further, I want to show you what the break-in procedure is like straight from the owner's manual. So it says that it takes up the first 20 hours of operation or the time it takes to use the first 2 tanks of gas. And you know what? It's pretty close to what you'll find in most vehicles. So you want to fill it up, check your oil, avoid aggressive use of the brakes. You never want to run in a sustained position on the throttle. Pull only light load, so don't load it up right away. And then basically keep on checking your fluids. At 25 hours, Polaris recommends your very first service. And then after that, it's 100-hour intervals, which is pretty nice. And there's a little bit more here on the second page. Now, like I mentioned, this machine is brand new to us and also just brand new. So we're going to go through this break-in procedure and hopefully get her nice and broken in before we run it too hard. We might not do the entire thing. We'll have to wait and see. So with the brake system, you got to take it easy for the first 50 stops. For the clutches and the belt, it's basically just take it easy, start off light, and make sure you never run at a sustained throttle. And then this stuff is just telling you, not to get into situations you can't get out of. Tread lightly and take care of the trails while you're out there. Service interval, and then a timer, and then engine temperature, and then the odometer. So it's only got 1.8 kilometers. I can't wait to put some more kilometers on this thing. Now, also in here in the interior, you get a couple cubbies up here in the dash, a couple cup holders. Down here we have our switches to go from performance, standard, and work mode, and then of course 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive, or just 1-wheel drive turf mode. Over here for the passenger, you have a couple of storage options. You have a top glove box and then a much larger lower glove box stuffed with all our lovely paperwork. And then down on the floor you get a couple more cup holders, and then I can also show you a little bit of storage here underneath the driver's seat, which is actually full of water right now, and there's one oversight. That should probably have a plug in it so I could drain that out of there. It'll likely come out of there when I start crashing down the trail tomorrow. And then let's open up here on the passenger side and see what's here for storage. Oh, this is just like the regular XP. It flips open, and right there you can see they put in that cutout so you can put a bucket in there. It'll actually sort of be held onto. Looks like there's a toolkit right down in here. And this cover also opens up and gives you some access down to your powertrain. Now I want to show you under this hood. So I already undid the clips, I got it off, and it reveals a couple of things. First of all, there's your coolant right there. So if you need to top up the coolant, there's the top of the rad. You can do that. And then what's even more important and what's cooler is right here. This is called the Pulse Bus Bar, and essentially these are just plug and play ports for different accessories. So if you want to add a light bar or something, you install that up on your machine, you run the wiring, and it plugs in right here, making it very convenient for adding accessories simply. There's one more trick I can show you up here in the front end. You can see this whole lower panel in the grille. It's loose, and if you pull down these little tabs, which I already did, this whole panel pops off just like that. And what that's going to let you do is get access straight into your rad. So if you do get your radiator gummed up with mud or something and you start to overheat, you pull this panel off, and then you have pure access so you can clean it up and make sure it's going to run correctly. So now one of the big questions is, what does it cost? And I'll be honest, this thing definitely does not come cheap. Here in Canada, the Ranger Backcountry Edition is going to sell for $24,399, whereas south of the border in the United States, you're talking about $19,899. And you know what? That is a jump, a considerable jump over a base XP1000, but you are getting sort of a nicely tailored package for hitting some real serious mud and ruts and water. So there's no doubt this thing is very expensive, and the question becomes, is it worth it? Well, that's what I want to find out over the next couple of months, and I want you guys to chime in now. Go in the comments, let me know what you would like to see. I have a lot of time with this machine, so I definitely want to get to know it. I want to put it to the test. I want to make sure I test every aspect of it, especially payload and towing. A lot of people don't do max payload tests or max towing tests on side-by-sides, and I definitely want to do that to see if the high numbers here are really all they're cracked up to be. So again, go in the comments, let me know what you would like to see out of the Ranger Backcountry Edition. I can already tell you my first video, we're gonna test these snorkels because it's springtime right now. There's a ton of water on the property and we're gonna go find the deepest stuff we can and see how it breathes. So go in the comments, let me know, and hit the like button while you're down there, and then make sure you come back to the channel because we are gonna keep on bringing you the latest news, views, and real world reviews. See ya.